Cry It Out Loud, a podcast by Chasing the Rainbows with your host, Bernice Quisenberry.
This week's episode is Baby Loss Insensitivity Out Loud. And this segment is with Bre and Bee. Hey, Bre.
Hello.
Thank you so much for jumping in and joining.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah. So, we're going to be talking about like all the insensitivities that we can come up with or think about, that happen, especially after miscarriage and stillbirth, but also with infant loss, and just, things that people have said to us when we return to everyday life, we're out in public, returning to work. And it's for survivors to hear on, how like now today I handle it. Right. And Bre, you probably still get some of them too. Whenever, we talk about our babes up in, wherever you believe they are and things like that. But, something that was so important that I missed out on is that I wish I had a place to turn to hear majority of the insensitivity so I could almost armor myself before I went out into the real world.
Yeah, prepare yourself, because I think that's probably the worst part of these insensitivities is they come out of nowhere and when you're least expecting them, and it's like you're already very vulnerable during that time, and you're feeling all kinds of emotions, and then you get hit with this like, wait, did they just say that to me? And you can't like process it, or like, at least for me, I'm terrible to begin with like quick comebacks, like I sit there and I think for like a couple minutes, and I'm like, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that. So if I would have had a place to, here are some common things that you may hear, and here's how you can respond to those insensitivities, that would have been very beneficial, I feel like, to armor myself and prepare myself for some of the things that I heard from people.
And it's so true because, like, we already have a whirlwind of, or at least for me, like in my head going on after our loss. Like, I'm already still trying to process everything, especially for those first months and, weeks and first year, especially after that. Like, I'm just trying to gain my bearings again and, like, figure out who I am, what life is like now, like, what does the future hold, and, like, mothering or parenting in a different way, let alone, like, take on someone else's, like, outside like influence that I don't even, like you said, don't expect, don't know what's coming. And some of these came from people that like threw me off. Like, did that really just come out of that person's mouth?
Yeah. It's not somebody you would have expected. And I think too, a lot of it is not just the emotional part that we're dealing with, but it's also the confidence part. So like, people say things to us and we don't necessarily have the confidence because our world was just shattered, and our bodies just went through a lot, and we're not feeling like ourselves, and we're, we don't have the whereabouts to like clap back with a good response because we don't have the confidence either.
No, right. And I feel like too, I didn't really want to isolate or alienate myself even further because I was already feeling that way. Like I was like the elephant in the room, right? Like when I would approach a room, like, don't look at Bernice, or like, heaven forbid, I felt like I was wearing like the scarlet A, walking in about baby loss. And it was really difficult. So for me too, like, I was like, how do I even handle all this? Like, so I just shut down. Like, it was just easier for me just to like go into during that time because I didn't know or know what to expect. So like, that's the purpose of this.
And I think that is a very common reaction, is you just shut down. So I think, everyone needs to know that that's not abnormal. And I think that's a very natural response when you get these comments that are made to you. So very not unusual to shut down.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, like I said, like I just wish though that I would have heard some and then knew some responses and almost created my own. Because we do, like, for me too, Bre, like before I went out in public, I like to play out every scenario that could happen, especially after loss, because of our traumas. We don't want the unexpected. And I just want to be able to have like a game plan in my mind, like an escape route, like I call it,
Well, and I think that's
scenario.
Yeah, I think it's so true because you have gone through something that was very unexpected that caught you off guard. So now there's a fear around that you're going to be caught in another situation that's you're caught off guard. So you're right. I mean, like for you to want to prepare yourself to go out into public for any situation is a defense mechanism because you have just been, something traumatic just happened to you that was caught you off guard that you weren't expecting. So now it's like, okay, what's
Yes.
lurking around the next corner, you know?
100%. And I think too, it's already hard enough for us to get ready in the mornings, like initially, especially after loss, right?
Mhm.
Our losses of our babes. And it's like, okay, now like it's already so like draining and taxing for me just to walk out the door and get in my car, drive to work or drive to the grocery store, let alone then handle other things. Like that was already
Yeah.
draining and the lead up to it. And then the emotional hangover that comes after,
Yes.
preparing for all these things and then have to deal with this on top of it. I agonized over some of these comments and I'm like, darn it,
Mm.
why did I not know this or like see
Yes.
this coming?
Yes. I totally agree with you. I did the exact same thing.
Right. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we're just going to dive right in. I mean, let's look here. Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna try not to get fired up. I'm gonna apologize ahead of time because I'll get a little spicy with these, a little bitey. But also too, now I like after hearing these comments a couple times and like being able to process them and now processing them in our support groups and stuff, I
Yeah.
can now confidently, right, say things to people when they come at me with these comments that I'm hoping will help to change the narrative and dialogue for other baby loss survivors after me. And because
Yes.
hopefully they won't say these things and they won't address them, but these all happen in healthcare facilities, hospitals, in our workplace. So how can we better, try to do this and educate, right? On
Yep.
how to handle others who go through this.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal here is to
Absolutely.
educate and to change the narrative.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, okay. You
Deep
can
breath,
always
girl.
have, I know, right? Oh, I got to like, yeah, switch my mindset a little bit. Okay. I might have to turn it down, but no, you can always have another baby.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So today, what I say to people is, I understand I can have another baby, but that doesn't take away the grief from my baby that I just lost. It's
Yeah.
like your 3 children, 4 children, someone loses a child. They're not just okay because they have 3 others, like that one
Yeah.
absorbed into the other ones. You
Yeah.
still do grieve each child individually. So there's that.
Yeah, it's almost like they're assuming it's a replacement of, not in
Yes.
addition to. Like,
Yes.
that drives me crazy because it's like I did get that comment as well. At least you can have another baby. And honestly, some people can't have another baby. That might have been their last shot. Like, you can't
Right. You don't know their
assume.
story. Yep.
Yeah, so, and I think sometimes being direct with people and just saying, "Actually, I can't. Like, that was it for us." I feel like there's a way to say things to people that provides awareness without sounding like a jerk. Like,
Absolutely.
because sometimes a lot of most of these comments are from ignorance. Like, let's just be honest. Like, it's not intentionally hurtful.
Yes.
Nobody, I think, is intentionally trying to come up to somebody who just lost a baby and kick them while they're down. Like, I don't think that's
No.
the intention.
No.
Um, but I think, there's just this, yeah, it's
It
so
is.
hard. And I think we just need to bring awareness to that. And like people sometimes just need to hear it. Like, actually,
Yes.
that's not true. That's not an accurate statement. What you just said
Right.
to me is not accurate.
Absolutely. And I think that saying that another baby would be in addition to our family, not a
Yeah.
replacement of the baby we just lost is a great way to say it too. But you're
Yeah.
right. So, and we should have mentioned this probably at the beginning too, Bre. It is really like people want to take away the hurt from someone. They want to fix
Yes.
it, right? When they see
Hmm.
somebody hurting and someone sharing, instead of being just that listening ear and sitting with them and holding them or just being present with them when they're experiencing, their grief and trauma responses, they want to say something that's going to completely just take that pain away. But realistically, nothing they say will take the pain away. We
Yeah.
just need to get it off our chest. We just need to get it out loud, and just really spew whatever we need to help us process, but then also to do it out loud so we're not stuffing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is
Yeah.
definitely their goal is they want to take away the hurt and the pain and be that person
Yes.
for that that individual and,
Yeah.
and take that away, but that's not how that works. And unless
No.
you've gone through that, you probably don't realize that. And, that's why we're talking about it.
Exactly, and baby loss is the only time that someone will say to you, like, "You can always have another baby." They don't say that when you lose a parent or a grandparent,
Yeah.
they don't say, like, "Thank goodness you have your dad still," or whatever,
Yeah.
the other parent.
Yeah.
But
So why is it
it's
acceptable to say
in this
in this
situation,
situation?
exactly. So, like, just trying to change the narrative and from all of us uniting and, going at this as a confronted effort, that's what we can really, try to do here. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the one. Um, at least you got pregnant. So infertility in and of itself is horrific and a horrific loss, right?
Yeah.
I already know to feel grateful that I got pregnant. I am not sitting here feeling ungrateful that I was
Yeah.
pregnant. But my experience, you're comparing to someone who can't get pregnant. And I understand. I am grateful I'm pregnant. Don't make me feel worse for feeling the way that I feel because I'm grieving this loss as
Yeah.
fertility loss survivors should be grieving as well, like their losses too.
Yeah.
But why are we comparing losses? I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's like apples to oranges, really. I mean, like
Right.
you're taking something, and you're assuming that I'm ungrateful for something that I have, and it's just like you could do that with anything in life. Like,
Right.
I have a nice car, and this person doesn't have a nice car, or vice versa, or a house, or like it. Just because we both, it doesn't make me ungrateful for what I have, just because I want something else. Like
Exactly.
it's very it's assuming,
Mhm.
and I think that's a slippery slope to go down.
Mhm.
And again, I think these are where direct comments need to be stated to these
Right.
individuals so that they can understand, like, I am very grateful that I got pregnant. Like, that's not what I'm dealing with. These aren't my emotions right now. My
Yeah.
emotions are the loss of my baby. Like, that has nothing to do with the fact that I lost my child. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
And my experience is different. Like, this is what I'm experiencing. I lost my child. I'm not experiencing that. So let's not, everybody experiences everything differently,
yeah.
right? And their journeys. So I don't really know why you're comparing me,
Yeah. Yeah.
or yeah. Um, yeah, absolutely. So then be grateful you have another child. So that
This one
goes,
gets me.
oh my goodness, Brie. Yeah, we talked about this
It's
pre-show.
so funny. You have, like, certain ones that, like, get you going, and then, like, I got
I
mine that
know.
get me going.
You go ahead. You just take this one.
I just no, okay, so and I think this is so I got this comment. So we had a daughter, Ella,
Yeah.
everything, like, not a care in the world with that pregnancy. Like, honestly, the thought of losing her never crossed my mind. Carefree pregnancy. It
Blissful.
w very
Perfect.
blissful, never to
Yeah.
happen again. And,
Yes.
I just we would lose we lost Emma, we lost Landon, we lost 4 other babies, and, struggled with secondary infertility for 5 years, and, I heard more times than I would have liked, "At
Yeah.
least you already have a child." Um, Again, going back to comparing apples to oranges, and it is not my desire to have an additional child is not a replacement of my current child. It's a totally separate entity, a whole separate thought process, emotional, like everything. Like it's a
Absolutely.
separate person. And like so that was hurtful because it made me feel like I was not grateful for Ella. And that was 100% not the case. I was very grateful for Ella. I love Ella. She's my
Right.
world. But that didn't take away from the fact that I still had a desire to have a baby. And
Yes.
it wasn't to replace Ella, it was in addition to Ella. So I think that comment is just very insensitive because it assumes ungratefulness.
Yes.
And it takes away the beauty and love you have of your unborn child, because it's almost like saying that that doesn't matter, because you already have that in a different in the form of somebody else. Does that
And it
make
also
sense?
takes yes, absolutely. And then it takes away too from you allowing yourself to grieve the way you need to because then you feel
Yeah.
guilty for
Yes.
grieving over a baby because you already have a child. And it's like,
Yeah.
no,
We
Americans are
already struggle
horrible at
with
grieving.
guilt. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
and guilt we already feel. We feel like we're not doing enough for, our child who is here living. We feel like we're not doing enough for, our babies that we lost. Like we feel like, we're like am I, and what I mean by the babies that we lost, like am I grieving enough over them or is it
yeah.
okay for me to feel happy like once those
Yeah.
moments first start to happen after your loss? So to hear these like immediately after your loss when you're still trying to figure out everything is just so horrible.
You feel like
Um
you're doing everything wrong. Like,
'Cause
it's
you already do.
you already do. You don't need somebody telling you. Like, you
Because
already
you're
feel
feeling with,
that
like,
way.
body shaming. Yeah, you're feeling with, like, guilt over yourself and, like, because guilt and shame, blame, like, fuel our traumas,
Yep.
that just happen. So, like, it's a natural reaction for us to go through all of those feelings, and then when these comments are being made, they just elevate because 'cause we're already, up to our necks with feeling
Yeah.
this way, and then it just takes us, like, over the top. And
So,
yeah,
yeah, and I think now, being, 8, 10 years out from this, I think
right,
my response now is, I love Ella very much,
right,
but that does not take away from my love and desire for my baby that I lost.
absolutely.
They're two separate people. Just like you love
Yes,
your two children separately and with your whole heart, it's the exact. I think being able to relate, like,
yes,
to bring those people to a point of relation where they can
yeah,
understand and comprehend what you're saying. So, like, if they have two children, you basically say, listen, you love your two children equally, right? Like, you love them with your whole heart. It's just the same thing for me. It's just my one baby isn't here. Like, I'm not,
yes,
I don't have them here to love, but it doesn't take away the love that I have for them. So being able to
agreed.
come somehow, like, take what they're saying and make it logical for them, I think is a
Yeah.
really smart way to handle that.
Absolutely, and most of the times is coming from people who have not experienced it.
Yeah,
So
right.
that is like trying to like educate to advocate for yourself, like educate
Yeah.
them on what you're going through, right? And we always say
Yep.
that in healthcare settings, but also it is in, the real life and our everyday life too,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Whew, okay.
I'll come down
So
off of
you're
that one. Okay.
I know, right? Now I'm like, okay, ready for this next one. No, these are there's like a couple that we'll time in. So your baby was too big for this earth. A higher power needed your baby, and a higher power has a bigger, better purpose for your baby. So those I struggled with because I really did question my higher power
Yeah.
during and that's also assuming that you know who my higher power is too, or like
Sure.
what I believe in, right?
Right.
And it's not that I am denying that I believe in a higher power, anything like that. But like during that time though, I had to put my resentment towards someone or something because I felt so out of control in those moments with the trauma and like losing broken arms, like all of that. Like, who can I
Yeah.
blame?
Yeah.
And if it's not myself, like who else? And it's like I'm gonna blame, a higher power, God, or
Yeah.
whatever you believe in. And it's like I am gonna put my energy into that. And then, I can like almost feel angry towards something, like
Yeah.
and so for me, it was really hard because I was questioning everything. Like I questioned like where do you go after you die? Like what happens to
Mm.
someone's soul and body? Like because these are all questions that you're trying to figure out because now my baby is there wherever this is, right? Or
Yeah.
this is what happened to my baby. And I want to be able to feel like I believe in the same thing for when I die. Like I'm going to be there and reunited with my baby or whatever that looks like or however you want to process or believe it. But like I want to be on the same page as that, so it's like trying to figure out all those things, like what happens in the like after you die, you know?
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
do
And
question it.
yeah, I think that's super normal. I think, having those questions, and because, like, we live in the physical world, and so we can
Right.
tangibly see, touch, feel all the things.
Yes.
So like when that's taken away and we can no longer see, touch, feel our
Yes.
baby, we are grasping and wanting
Yes.
to know, like, where are they? Can I see them again? Like it's like we long for that, and like it's human nature to like long
Yes.
for them, and like that deep in the pit of your stomach longing to be with them, you know? And I think it's totally normal that to be angry with God,
Yeah.
or, you know, whatever it is where you're projecting your anger. I think everyone projects it differently, and I think everybody handles, you know, for me, my faith lifted me through this.
Yeah.
You know, those comments actually were more um like grounding to me. And like, okay, like I'm gonna be like based off of my belief, and like that I'm gonna be with them again, you know. So it's and I think that's where everyone's so different. And I think that's what's so
Yes.
important to like the beauty of this and remembering is like our stories are not all the same, and like
No.
our experiences are different, and our beliefs are different, and like just but uniting and coming together and being like, it's okay that you feel this way. It's not,
Yes.
you know, we're nobody's shaming you, and nobody's going to make you feel guilty for feeling the way you feel, because it's what you need and what how you feel in the moment, and it's okay.
And that's exactly right. Grief and trauma is a minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day
Yes.
experience, or it can be for others, especially at the
Yes.
beginning. But it's so individualized with how, you respond to these things and how like
Yes.
your grief and trauma responses are and what happens. And, you could experience this, stage or not. And like, everybody is so different with how they process and work through things that it's just
Yep.
remembering one that these aren't blank statements. So one survivor might believe that there is a higher, bigger purpose for their baby. Another one might not. So don't say that to all survivors because one did. But then
Yeah.
also, I could have believed that yesterday, and then today I'm not believing it. And it
Sure.
is being gentle and graceful on yourself during this journey and allowing yourself that permission to navigate this unexpected journey that we were given and doing the best we can in the moment, especially at the beginning, until we
Yeah.
are 100% confident or feel a confidence with, okay, this is what I believe, or this is what I want to take away from this, or like this is how, like all these different, situations with what like we're trying to figure out and navigate now for our future and what we do, deep inside of us believe after these traumatic losses.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. And so, my response to them is, that's great if that's what you want to believe, or and, like if somebody's saying those things to me, like if that's what you believe, great, but right now I'm just not there. And
Yeah.
actually, I said, if you choose to pray for us, great, like please feel free to do so. Because like I wasn't at a point where I felt strong enough to be able to do that, or confident enough in my higher power to do that. So I was like, if
Yeah.
that's what you want to do. And at the beginning for me too, I almost looked at Brooke like our higher power, and I could pray to her and I could talk
Mm.
to her. And that was like my form of reconnecting or connecting in a different way.
Mm.
But I think it is like that's what I just said to people. And people were really great about that because I really was struggling. I was angry. I was
Yeah.
very angry.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, but yeah, okay. Yes. So this one too, everything happens for a reason. I do not believe that, and this is what I say too, I don't believe that there was a reason that my innocent baby was taken. So from me here
Yeah.
on earth. So I usually do go and just say that. And I go, but I understand what you're trying to do and I appreciate it, 'cause I always do follow up when I make a comment, I say something along those lines. I mean, because I don't want them to think that I'm being disrespectful or undermining
Sure.
them trying to be nice and say something. But realistically, let's not say that to people.
Yeah, and I think that's where, like, you know, it's the intentions. Like, people are trying to just make it better for you, and to
Right.
as if you've never heard that before. Like,
Right.
that comment, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
it's like it's a very inventive comment that I'm saying to you right now, and it's gonna
Yes.
solve all your problems. And you're like,
Exactly.
actually, not quite.
And
So
some people
yeah,
might believe that, and that's
yeah,
great. Some people might, that's how they get through the day. That's how they, deal with their loss. Great. I'm
Yeah.
just not there. So please
Yeah.
don't say it to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's again,
Um,
and that's where everyone, and that's, I think that's what's hard is it's almost like you have to know your person well enough. So like, I
yes.
would hope, if somebody said to me like, everything happens for a reason, like I'm more of a like there's purpose in through my pain type of person. Like I will find purpose through the pain. Um, you know, but like everybody has these things that are soothing to them and comforting. And if you don't know a person well enough to know what's going to soothe and comfort them, please just don't say anything. Like just say I'm
Exactly.
here for you if you need anything. Because I think that's just because everyone's so different. That's
Yeah.
where we have to be careful because you know if it's your sister going through something, you know what's going to be comforting to your sister. You know what she believes in, you know what she's dealing with. Like comments to your sister that you know are going to be beneficial are one thing. Comments to a complete stranger in a grocery aisle because you don't know what to say and you're freaking out and you just want to say something to make it better are probably not the most appropriate thing. So I think time and place is important too.
Right. And I totally agree with that. And, realistically, even someone saying, I don't even know what to say, just
Yeah,
know that my heart is broken for you. And
that's
can I just
plenty.
sit with you? Done.
Leave it at
Right.
that.
We've
Leave it
talked
at
about
that.
that in other podcast episodes, and it's perfect because
Yep.
that's when then these things aren't said. But also, like you said, if you hear the survivor say this one day, it might be different the next, especially in the beginning. But
Yeah,
then
for sure.
also, you know, we're not all the same and can't lump us into one because we are all, we've all dealt with this. And you heard one survivor one time say it, and it's
Yep.
true.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, so back on these, it's like um it would be worse if. So this is where this comes in, like
Mm,
your baby like wasn't even fully developed. Like it'd be worse if your baby was like a stillbirth or if your baby was like born and then died. And it's like this is where it comes back to that comparison again, that
yes.
people do that with like another child or another baby or like at least you got pregnant. Like
Yep.
it's those like okay, one, I hope that's one person did not go through all those kinds of losses and that's why they're comparing them like,
Yeah.
that they didn't have like miscarriage, stillbirth, infant loss all in their life because that is just, you know what I mean? Like saying or like a child too that they lost, like
Yeah.
all those things, like all occurrences because like that's someone who can shed light or they can feel a certain way about that. But these normally, like for me, they came from people who did not experience any kind of these losses. And
Yeah.
it's like, how did that even come out of your mouth? Like, why are we comparing losses? They're all different. They're all traumatic. They're all horrific. It's a parent without their child. Like, don't like it's all those like hopes and dreams. It's a life now that I have to go on living when it's biologically not okay for a parent to outlive their child. Like, that should not happen ever.
Yeah,
And
you know my
so,
my catchphrase, like I need to put
yes,
this on a t-shirt. A loss is a loss is a loss. Like
yes,
and that's I'll say it till I die because it's that like it's the loss of the dream, the hopes,
yes.
the love. Like a love of a baby at 12 weeks is a love of a baby at 40 weeks. Like it's a
100%.
love. Love is love. Like you
Yes.
can't define that to somebody. Like you can't tell somebody that that love was not comparable to that person's love. Like it's unbelievable. It's it's
It
insane to
is.
me.
It really is. It really is. And so, I just say, you know, all of the losses are horrific
Yeah.
as a parent who lost a child and at any stage and age. So that's even, you think about fertility loss. People who are struggling
Yeah.
to get pregnant, there are losses every month,
Yeah.
and they're reoccurring and it's horrible and the journey that they're on too. So it's all these losses.
Yeah.
And, you and I dealing with secondary infertility, Brie, like we get it like on another scale, like another
Yep.
level, not comparing, not there it goes again, like
Right.
not comparing ourselves to primary infertility. But it comes down to let's stop comparing because
Yes.
these are all horrible at the
That's
end of the
like
day.
the end point here is just stop
Yes. Like,
comparing.
why aren't we
Yeah.
just supporting each other and lifting each other up and being
Yeah.
there, right? And it's not survivors, it's other individuals in our community that don't understand this and say those kind of things,
Yeah.
and it's just horrible, to be
Yep.
honest. So,
I
yeah.
agree.
Um, oh, You did nothing wrong. You couldn't have prevented this from happening. Things just happen. Your baby wasn't meant to be, all of those things. So
Well,
those, like, I'm lumping into one because, like, they're all, like, around saying the
yeah,
same kind of thing. That's
yeah,
basically saying that my baby didn't live, that my baby wasn't alive
yeah,
and didn't exist. And regardless, like we just said about stage and age,
yeah,
they did.
yeah,
And now I'm grieving everything that you just said, Bre, right? Like
yeah.
hopes, dreams, all of it. A loss, a loss, a loss. And it's not, it like makes me isolate and shut down completely and know like that person just doesn't get it, or like I feel like I am on this isolated island alone again and no one
Mhm.
understands me or understands my journey that I'm going through.
It's just inherently reducing the again, the love and the
Yes.
trauma of it all and like, like it didn't matter, no
Right.
matter how it happened doesn't matter. It's the fact that it happened is what matters, and, I think it's taking away the power of it's putting more significance on how it happened
Yes.
versus, that it happened,
Yeah.
and that they matter, and that they were loved, and, and that's the irritating part is, that's not where the focus should be, and yet it's being twisted to make it be a, less less it's giving more power to that, and I think it's taking away, from the baby we lost and the love that we have for that baby.
Absolutely. And how I normally say it is, to me, and my baby was real, my baby was alive, my baby was here.
Yeah.
And however you want to say it or phrase it or whatever. Um, so I just appreciate it if you didn't, say that to me.
Yeah.
But that's
That's good.
how I respond now. I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
my baby, because too, I don't know about you, Brie, but I felt like, you know, sometimes like, did I just dream Brooke was here?
Yeah.
Was she even here? Did I even carry her? Was I even pregnant with her? Because like we don't have anything, like you said, like we don't have them here with us.
Yeah.
So it's like, did this actually happen or was this like a
It's like an
nightmare that I went
illusion
through?
or something. Yeah, like what
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, like, saying those kind of things that makes me feel crazy for even, feeling the ways that I'm feeling. And
Yeah.
so, I say, I don't appreciate that, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And saying why, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, but yeah, so that takes us to, the things that are most common, I feel like, don't you, Bree, that,
Yeah, and I would love to hear from other people some of the things,
yes.
these are just ones that we have experienced. I am sure there are so many
Oh, I'm
other
sure.
insensitivities
I
out
mean, this is
there.
just tip of the iceberg. Yeah.
Yeah, so, just I would love to hear from some of the viewers as far as, what they've heard, how have they handled it, these are all just really good resources, to equip us survivors moving forward and prepare us and put on that armor to protect ourselves, so
Right.
yeah, I would love to hear those.
Yes, please share, because we do. Like this is what we've heard, like Bree said, but you know, that's not the be all end all. And there's so many
Yeah.
more out there we're sure of that we just
Oh, yeah.
haven't, heard yet. And then we're gonna also do an infertility segment on this as well. Which we'll tap more into that too. But thank you so much, listeners, for tuning in. Please share with us your thoughts, like Bree said. Write into us. We're here. If any, future episodes that you want to hear, we would love to hear topics or guest speakers that you would like to have on here. But we are always with you, fertility loss, pregnancy loss, and baby loss survivors. Until next time. Thank you,
Thanks
Bree.
for listening.